Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. Viewers, the Northeast is virtually on the streets with protests over almost anything. If the Métis in Manipur have been out protesting the possible adverse impact of the Naga peace deal on the state and its people, almost the whole of the region is out there under the skies to express their opposition to the Citizenship Amendment Bill. The union government leaders have now said that they would talk to the stakeholders and the state governments in Manipur, Arunachal and Assam before the signing of the Naga Accord. This brings the question now, why such discussions have not been held for so long? Perhaps that would have prevented the street protest that we have been witnessing in Manipur. Again, over the Citizenship Amendment Bill issue, regional leaders are now saying that Union Home Minister could come for talks with the stakeholders. The same question again. Why no talks on the issue for so long, as the Citizenship Amendment Bill has been topping the priority list of the union government? The Northeast cannot afford bunds and street protests because that further retards development and progress. Moreover, at a time when New Delhi is seriously pushing its activist policy, the region needs a conducive environment, meaning a peaceful atmosphere for furthering a serious development initiative. Why is this not happening? Is this because New Delhi has generally been putting the cart before the horse, like initiating discussions only after street protests have erupted? To discuss the subject, I am joined from Kohima by Mr. Teza Terry, Senior Leader of the Naga Tribes Council. In New Delhi, I have ASU Chief Advisor Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharjee. From Guwahati University, I am joined by Professor Nanigopal Mohanto. In Imphal, I have Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba, Leader of the United Committee Manipur and Kokomi. In Itanagar, I have National People's Party leader Jarpam Gamlin and Mr. Hawa Bagang, President of the All Arunachal Pradesh Students Union. And at our studios in Guwahati, I have Assam BJP spokesman Janki Goswami and former Special Director General of Police Assam, Mr. Pallab Bhattacharya. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Notice Tonight. My first question goes to you, Khuraiza Mathoba. You see, Manipur has erupted because of possible apprehensions over the impact of the Naga peace accord. Now the government is saying, the government of India is saying that they will hold talks with Manipur, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, all the stakeholders. Now my question is simple. Had there been talks earlier, Khuraijam, do you think the misunderstandings would have been cleared? Do you think the scale of the protest would have come down? Or do you think you had to protest because you had no options? Khuraijam.
You have rightly pointed out, Wasbir, that while the government of India is trying to deal an issue or deal a matter related with the state of Manipur, then the people of Manipur should be the first party whom should be consulted. If some groups have pursued the government of India with a set of demands, that don't necessarily mean that the government of India should unilaterally, deal with that party and just decide whatever they wanted. Rather than if they really want, amicable solution and to find out a way out which is acceptable to all the parties, all the people, then definitely they should make Manipur, the people of Manipur, as a party of the contentious, peace process. And if that happens, then definitely there could be a way out. But the government of India seems to be, dealing the matter unilaterally.
Okay, so I'll come back to you, Khuraiza. Mr. Teza Terry in Kohima, we'll fix that frame with Mr. Teza Terry. Yes, Mr. Teza Terry, what are your thoughts? The discussions should be a continuous process. Do you agree that on any important issue, the civil society and the stakeholders needs to be discussed? That is what is lacking, or we have seen less of discussions. Otherwise, there's a lot of misconceptions. There is a lot of wrong information trickling around. Do you think dialoguing has to be very important in a sensitive region like the Northeast?
Yeah, Mr. Wasbir, there seems to be a serious problem with the decision-making process. The political party will bring out the agenda, and the agenda will be placed in the cabinet. Once the cabinet cleared it, it will go straight to the parliament. At no point of time, it is put in the public domain. At no point of time, the MPs concerned, the state concerned, which are going to be affected by that very decision, is not being consulted.
Right.
There is no consultation at all. As and when it is placed on the floor of the House, the people came to know. And the only means for people to react is by means of expressing our democratic right and in the form of protest, just to let the people who will decide our future listen to our voice. We have to stand on our feet and make noise.
All right.
Very loud and clear.
So
that it will draw the attention of people.
Basically, you're saying that people have been compelled to exercise their democratic right of protest because there is the interface between the government and the masses through the civil society is not up to the mark. That is what the two panelists have basically said. Let me go to Itanagar. Hawa Bagang is the president of the All Arunachal Pradesh Students Union. Mr. Hawa Bagang, आपने काफ़ी आंदोलन किया है ऑल अरुणाचल प्रदेश स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन ने, आपका क्या मानना है? अगर इफ डायलॉग्स होता है तो मिसकंसेप्शंस आर क्लियर, लॉट ऑफ मिसकंसेप्शंस, लॉट ऑफ एप्रीहेंशंस आर क्लियर. नाउ अभी नागा इशू का ले लीजिए. नागा इशू का ऊपर कोई सिविल सोसाइटी के साथ बात अभी तक नहीं हुआ है. अभी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है कि अरुणाचल, असम और मणिपुर के साथ बात करेंगे. तो आपका यह मानना है कि पहले से बात करना चाहिए था?
नागा इशू में ऐसे है, मेरा मानना है कि अरुणाचल में कोई नागा नहीं है और मैं ऐसे बिलीव करता हूँ कि जो अरुणाचल में बैठने वाला को अरुणाचली मानता है और जो नागालैंड में बैठने वाला को नागा मानता है. तो अरुणाचल में जो जिस लोगों को नागा मानते हैं वांगचू है, नुक्ते है, तुत्सा है, तांगसा है, ओलो है, काफ़ी ट्राइब है वहाँ पे. ऐसे लाइक अरुणाचल में काफ़ी ट्राइब है, आमलोनीशी है, गालो आदि है, बहुत है. तो जिस प्रकार से गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया अभी नागा इशू में नागा पीस तो बात हो रहा है, तो हम लोग देख रहा है. तो अगर हम लोग को अगर कंसल्टेटिव मीटिंग करता, अगर हम लोग को कुछ भी अगर डिसीजन लेने का बात करता है तो हम लोग गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का सामने में हम लोग रखेगा. अरुणाचल में जिस लोग को नागा बोल रहा है यहाँ में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वो लोग अपना ज़मीन में बैठ रहा है, अपना नदी में बैठ रहा है, अपना जो भी अपना जो एरिया में इंडिपेंडेंटली बैठ रहा है. और अरुणाचल के लोग यहाँ का गवर्नमेंट इसको कोई डिप्राइव नहीं किया जा रहा है और वहाँ पे एजुकेशन अपना ढंग से चल रहा है. वहाँ का लोगों को मिनिस्टर
मिस्टर हवा बागांग, होल्ड योर थॉट्स, आई विल कम बैक टू यू.
सब यहाँ का जॉब रिक्रूटमेंट है
जी. अब मैं दोबारा आऊंगा आपका पास हवा बागांग जी. मिस्टर जारपुम गमलिंग, द क्वेश्चन इज what is your honest and blunt assessment of the situation? Now, the Northeast seems to be on the streets. My research team has given me this piece of paper where from January to now, there are more than 10 bunds in the northeastern region. More than 10 bunds. Forget about the street protests. There has been more than 10 bunds. The issues are, basically the issue are on CAB, ST status, bond on NRC, merger with India by Corcom and NLFT, Indo-Naga talk, CAB, so on and so forth. And yesterday, there was a street protest in South Assam districts of North Kachar Hills and Karbi Anglong, but because the people were opposed to the proposal to grant citizenship to 6 tribes of Assam. Now my question is, I know that people have the democratic right to protest, but should the government have engaged in talks with various stakeholders and not wait for protests to happen and only then think of talking? Jarpom.
That people in New Delhi need to realize the time has changed and Northeast is no longer the Northeast of 60s or 70s or 80s. That's very important. And time and again I've always said that Northeast cannot be run from North Block and South Block. They need to engage people. Now today, be it any state of the Northeast, we have thinking people. Now people are more educated. It's not like 60s and 70s and 80s of Northeast. So this is one realization, it's sooner the better for the people in New Delhi. So this is my very, very brutal, honest opinion. Today we have thinkers, we have writers, we have thought leaders, we have political leaders of repute. So this need to be recognized, and New Delhi, be it the bureaucrats, be it the political establishment, they are yet to recognize and acknowledge that Northeast has come of the age.
Okay, hold on your thoughts. Let me have the opening remarks. I'll come to my panelists in the studio in a minute. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanta, professor at Guwahati University. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanta, we are discussing this subject, whether there is a policy shift is necessary. Do you think there has to be a policy reorientation? Because, the policy of postponing peace does not help at anyone. And government seems to be, whether any government, I'm not talking about any political party government here, I'm using the term government. Government seems to react only when there is widespread protest. Then they say, okay, we'll talk. Now take the case of CAB. Government is now saying they will talk to the stakeholders. Take the case of Naga talks and the apprehensions in Manipur. Government say, okay, now we'll talk to Manipur, Assam and Arunachal. What is your thoughts? How do you look at it?
Wasbir, if you allow me 1 or 2 minutes, then I can put it in perspective. Well, in the sense that it reminds me certain terminological concepts of conflict. Like conflict transformation, conflict resolution, and conflict management. When you talk about conflict transformation, what you are talking about is about understanding each other. You understand my situation, and I understand. It's a question of vice versa, like it's a transformative relationship. In conflict resolution, what we find is a win-win situation. For example, the Naga issue. Naga are having a demand with trans-regional, specifications. In such situation, we might have to go for a win-win situation. But what government basically focuses is on conflict settlement or conflict management, basically relying on some done the way. In the sense that it's a kind of quotidian statecraft. Well, I do not want to castigate Kautilya's statecraft, but nevertheless, what we find today, or for last 60, 70 odd years, in case of Northeast India, is the some done the way statecraft which they try to operate. But having said so, Wasbir, let me also add this point that Northeast in recent years has become more peaceful, in the sense that if you look at the statistics published by the Ministry of Home Affairs, you would find that the violence, wanton violence, destruction, killing, kidnapping, looting, and the human casualty, both from the security side and as well as from the civil society side, has drastically come down. Number one. Number two, in fact, a new generation has emerged maybe in Nagaland that has not seen violence. So to say that the Northeast India is continuously in agitation, or they're having a contestation with the center for all the time, I think will be too far to put this argument in the table. But nevertheless, I do agree that democracy should be by dialogue. It is a dialogical relationship.
I'll come back to you. That is the moot point.
the
That
various
is, I'll come back to
stakeholders
you, Dr.
in
Nanigopal
resolving your
Mahanta.
conflict.
I'll come back to you. This is the opening remark. Very critical points raised by Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta. Mr. Pallab Bachcharji, you have spent about nearly almost 40 years, in critical positions in the Assam Police. My question is, you have also been directly one of the you have been a negotiator in many of the rebel groups in the state and student groups in the state. My question is, how easy or difficult it is for the government to deal? Because when we are dealing with the main group, there are a lot of other groups are impacted. Is it also possible to hold talks with various groups to arrive at a consensus or to clear some of the apprehensions? But usually we see that does not happen. That happens only when the government is forced to react to protests.
For conflict resolution, it is always better to talk to all the stakeholders. But in Assam and in the Northeast particularly, the situations are so complex. You see, granting of ST status to the 6 communities, it is being opposed by the people who are already ST.
Yes.
So there are so many issues cropping up at the same time. But while talking to various groups, actually, if you see the BTC Accord, what I want to say that if you see before BTC Accord, there was so much of violence in Assam. That beggars description actually. So they have arrived at a conclusion that to form BTC, and as a result, if you see, the violence profile in BTC has come down drastically. So what Nanigopal Mahanta has said, I also fully subscribe to him, subscribe to his views that Sam Dam Danda Ved. Actually, this is one of the issues on the basis of which government usually takes certain decisions, and probably at that point of time, that was the best decision which can be arrived at.
Right.
And subsequently, this may be difficult in future. For instance, now Boru Oboru conflict is coming up in BTAD.
Yes.
So, but at that point of time in 2003, probably that was the best situation, and that is why they have arrived at such a position. But it is always better to discuss with all the stakeholders.
It's always better to discuss with all the stakeholders. That is what Mr. Pallab Bachcharji is saying. Janaki Goswami, you represent the ruling party in Assam, that is the BJP. My question is, would you have been a happier person if, obviously you don't like to see protests on the streets, because we are all talking about development of the northeastern region. You know, your government is now pushing activist policy like never before. Now, at the same time, to achieve the desired objectives, you want as less protest as possible, obviously. Now, how do you do that? Because while talking to the main group, the government does not talk to many other groups. They do so only when the people erupt in protest. Is this a good idea? How do you look at it?
See, it is, I do not agree that the government does not hold discussions or consultations before coming to a decision. Whenever the government comes to a decision or a declaration is made, there are generally some kind of, discussion with the stakeholders or whatever you say. It is done in a consultative manner mostly. But there are certain decisions which are not acceptable to the people. And we have always seen that when it is not acceptable to the people, people have the right to protest, or people have the right to they have the liberty to voice their opinion. In general, they do it in the form of dharnas.
Dharnas, okay.
Generally, which is not
okay,
desirable.
You are saying that
which
it is very
not
difficult.
Desirable.
It is very difficult for you to defend because you are saying that discussions
it should be if there is some displeasure.
Discussions might be taking place between the government and the intelligence agencies.
If there is
but
some
we are
discontent
about discussions with the stakeholders that may or may not be taking place.
If there is a discontent, there should be discussion first and dharna later.
The stakeholders, they will not be talking about stakeholders. That is my point. Khuraiza Mathoba, I'll come back to you, Janaki Goswami. Khuraiza Mathoba, now you see, take the case of Manipur. There are so many, I'm coming to you, Mr. Theza Theri, and my guests in Itanagar in a while. And I'm also coming to you, Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta. Khuraiza Mathoba, Manipur is the one state in the entire Northeast that sees the maximum number of protests. It's always on a protest mode. If it is a 3-month-long protest over the Manipur University Vice Chancellor issue, it is over the journalists being arrested, it is over Citizenship Amendment Bill, it is over the possible impact of the Naga peace talks. Now, tell me how much of talks that the government has engaged in. Now, your group, that is the COCOMI, is leading the agitation against the possible impact of the Naga peace talks. You see them earlier. Now, how many times have you held talks with anybody from the government? Can you give us an idea? Give our viewers an idea.
Yeah. See, before any kind of making any kind of street protest or dharnas or agitation, at the first place, we always try to, communicate with the government and, try to communicate with them. But when they fail to do so, then we again try to submit memorandums. We have been submitting memorandums in dozens. Since 2001, we have been keep on submitting, and since 2015, after the signing of the framework of agreement, we have been submitting numbers of memorandum, but till that, no single memorandum has been replied from the Prime Minister's office, from the Home Minister's office, from the governors or whoever. And because of that kind of negligence, because of that kind of avoiding, attitude, then only the people has come down to the street. And only when we come down to the street with intense agitation, then only they started listening to us and they will start inviting to us.
Okay.
Before that,
right.
they always try to take decisions unilaterally.
Pallab Bhattacharya, is this how the government usually responds? Because that is what we see. You respond only when the agitation becomes intense. That is a common feature. We are not talking about Assam. I'm just talking about in general.
Actually, the thing is, the district administration has a definite role to play in
Yes.
this regard. The deputy commissioner, the superintendent of police, and all the officers down the line, actually each one of them has got their own responsibilities. Personally, I feel that what he has told, that they have given memorandums. Actually, there are memorandums, then you can gather information from other sources also, because this
Early warning.
social media reports and other things, then the newspaper reports. There are so many things in these reports that these are called open source intelligence actually. Basically, there you can take a lot of actions in this regard.
Mr. Pallab Bhattacharya, you were saying that it is necessary for the district administration and other officials down the line to take action on such kind of open source intelligence.
Yes, exactly. That is what I want to say. They will have to take a proactive action. In fact, I personally feel that during the present situation, the deputy commissioner and the superintendent of police every day in the morning they should discuss what are the programs which are going to be there tomorrow or today, so that they can immediately take action on that. Actually,
so that is what is perhaps not happening to the level. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto, do you agree to Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba's view that the government response usually does not respond, but knee-jerk reaction when you see, thousands of people are on the streets protesting, there is calling a band, that is how when the government wakes up? Do you agree with this perception? It is not a perception, this is in some extent true.
Wasbir, I have it, I look at it slightly different way. I would like to give you the example of CAB, the Citizenship Amendment Bill. Just before the election, when AGP was, in fact, they had snapped ties with BJP and they went to people in Panchayat election asking people's mandate, saying that please give us your vote. We are trying to snap ties with BJP. So we are fundamentally, structurally different from BJP. We are for the people of Assam and we oppose CAB.
How is it linked to my question?
If you look, the AGP was defeated. My answer is that there is a disconnect between civil society articulation and their support to the government. The same people.
So are you saying, Nanigopal Mohanto, are you saying therefore the government should not give a damn? Are you saying the government should not give a damn because it does not translate into votes? Even if you protest, you are going to win. Therefore, the government should not care. Is that you are saying?
No. So my problem is that the people are slowly becoming apolitical. They oppose government, they come to street, certain organizations take up the issue, they fight against the government, but when you try to reflect that articulation in terms of your political representation, that doesn't happen. And that is why political parties do not take them seriously. But that should not be. That should not be. Having said so, this kind of exercise actually creates a huge differences. It creates a huge it widens the gap. So I believe that the conflict resolution mechanism of the government or even the intelligence department, we talked about early warning system. In fact, Wasbir, we are also part of this.
Yes.
That when government needs to talk about early warning system in the sense that they need to have a think tank because their approach is ragtag. Government's approach is firefighting.
Exactly.
If there is a problem, government would go, they would try to control it rather than detecting it. So they do not have a visualization team.
Right.
A team who can talk
Right.
about
Very
the
true. You have hit the
possible
bullseye.
scenarios that will
You
happen
have-
in the coming days.
Nanigopal
So
Mahanta,
that's what
you-
I would say. ragtag.
Absolutely, you have hit the bullseye, very correctly put by Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta there. The government should have an early warning system. Hawa Bagang, आपको ये लगता है कि आप लोग प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन है, आप लोग प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, लेकिन जब इलेक्शन आता है तो ज़्यादातर लोग एक पार्टी को वोट करते हैं, जीत जाते हैं, तो that party do not care much about you. That is what our panelist Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta is saying. Because although you protest, you vote for a particular political party and that party wins and then don't give a damn to you. So आप कैसे कहेंगे इसको? कैसे देखते हैं आप?
मेरा सोच में ये है पॉलिटिकल मुद्दा इशू जो है अलग है और जो इंसान का जो अपना प्रचार जो अलग है और बहुत लोग इसको जो है मिसयूज़ किया जाता है ये इंडिविजुअल में भी और बहुत लोग इसमें जो है उसी वक्त दूसरा को जो है छेड़खानी या गुमराह करता है तो मैक्सिमम पॉलिटिकल पार्टी तो सेम ही है लेकिन लाइन ऑफ जो इशू जो है जो कुछ करना चाहता है जीतने का बाद इतना कुछ होता नहीं है इसमें जो है टेबल का ऊपर टेबल का ऊपर टेबल जो इसमें जो है पब्लिक को गुमराह किया जाता है जैसे स्टूडेंट लीडर को गुमराह किया जाता है ये काफ़ी है और आपको एग्जांपल मैं देता हूँ हमारा सीएम जो अभी असम के सीएम हैं वो अभी केप का इशू में जो क्लैरिफिकेशन नहीं दे रहा है और इतना क्लियर स्टैंड नहीं हो रहा है ये भी एक आंसू का एक प्रेसिडेंट रहा है फॉर्मर आंसू का काफ़ी अरुणाचल में भी ऐसे लोग हैं माने फॉर्मर स्टूडेंट लीडर है फॉर्मर कोई भी चीज़ का जो लीडर है जब अपना सीट में आता है तो उसका गुमराह करना शुरू हो जाता है
that is a general allegation.
इंडिविजुअल एक प्रोपोगंडा है हाँ
ठीक है अब मैं आता हूँ आपका जारपुम गामलिन the question is Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta has made I'm not getting a proper response to that basically the political parties are taking advantages of the fact that there is a protest but at the same time they win. Therefore, they said that this protest is not reflected in the electoral verdict, and that is the advantage which the political parties are taking. Jarpum.
Yeah. So come again. I heard your statement. What's your question?
No, my question is this. There is a mass protest, take for example that there is a mass protest on a particular issue, but when it is followed by an election, the party in power comes back. So they think that okay, this issue is no big deal because we have been voted to power once again. Therefore, they don't give a damn to these kind of protests. That is the general tendency. Do you agree? How do you look at it?
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, I agree. I mean, that has been happening in Arunachal and I'm sure in rest of the country as well. See, my assessment of situation in Arunachal is that, literacy rate is very low in Arunachal. That's point number one. So therefore, there is a disconnect between the issues being raised by the intellectual group and the aspiration of the rural folks, which is nearly about 75 to 80% who are still in rural areas of Arunachal.
Okay.
So we are unable to create a connect.
Unable to create a connect. Very important point.
Yeah, that's number one.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, even within the student community, see, in Arunachal and for that matter in any tribal society, I think politics is run by number one, your clan, number two, your matrimonial alliances. So therefore, in a small state like Arunachal where tribal population is just about 8 lakhs, it's run on clan. So say for example, my present APSU president Hawa Bagang, he may take a position for the student community, but tomorrow, if a Bagang, a leader, becomes a candidate, then he would give a side and he would vote for his siblings or for his cousin, for his clan brother.
Okay,
So
Jacob, I get the point.
So
I get the
therefore,
point.
The whole
I
thing
get the
get messed
point.
up.
I get the point. हम लोग देखेंगे हवा बगान जी अगर कॉन्टेस्ट करेंगे तो क्या होगा अगले आने वाले दिन में हम लोग देखेंगे हवा बगान जी आपसे बात करेंगे but don't take it seriously, it's just a joke. We'll go for a short break. When I come back, I'll go straight to Mr. Teza Terry in Kohima and to my panelist in the studio. Don't go away, I'll be right back. Welcome back, Mr. Teza Terry. When the discussions on the Naga issue has been going on for the last 22 years, Naga issue discussion going on for the last 22 years, it has gained momentum in the last 2 years when 7 other rebel groups under the banner of the Naga national political groups have been taken into the peace process. Then we sort of signing up the framework agreement. Yet, the common people, the Nagas, did not know anything about what's going on. This is what I'm talking about discussions. Yes, we all understand, you understand, I understand that you cannot discuss everything in details with the people. There has to be some element of secrecy. But basic sense has to be given. The people have to realize that they are taken into confidence. The civil society needs to realize that they are being taken into confidence. This avoids a lot of apprehensions, misconceptions, and this can, even prevent the peace process from being derailed. So, what is your experience? What do you have to say?
Yeah, I should say the negotiation cannot take place in the open.
Yes.
It cannot be.
We know that.
In the marketplace.
Yes.
That is very obvious. And then agenda discussion on the negotiation table have to be kept within the negotiators, not the public. But at the same time, government should take up confidence building measure.
Yes.
Confidence building measure. At different level, the political leadership, the leadership and the central government should reach out to the affecting people, the stakeholders, the state, the neighboring states should be taken into confidence. I think there is something lacking in this confidence building measure. That is the reason why people are becoming anxious. As and when there is a protest, then only government give attention.
Yes.
I think,
now you see that is a very good point that you are making, because forget the government. Even when civil societies from two states with differing perceptions meet, even then lot of things are cleared. For example, when the Naga Mothers Association team went to Manipur and met the Mera Paibis and the Kokomi leaders, there was a lot of goodwill has been generated. There were editorials in the Manipur newspapers praising or in support of this move.
True.
Isn't it, Mr. Teza Terry?
That's very true. That's very true. That people-to-people connection, the civil organizations have to reach out. But there's lots of trust deficit. And here it's difficult to believe and difficult to accept each other and difficult to digest. That is the reason why reaching out sometime we become a little uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So there has to be from government level, from government level,
very true.
at different stage, they have to talk to the stakeholders.
Yes, I am now being joined by ASU Chief Advisor Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharjee from New Delhi. But before going to you, Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharjee, very quickly, Janki Goswami, your party, that is the BJP, has at the party level, you have your policy groups, you have your groups to give you the feedback to the government. Now, do you think there is necessity for these groups to interact more closely with the various civil societies as and when you see agitation developing, right at the development stage, right? That is what Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee was saying. you get the newspaper reports, you get some kind of an early warning. Do you think there is a need for
See,
these groups?
These groups are active groups. These groups are working on their own. But I also agree that the interaction level should be at a higher level. It should be a little more interaction. That I totally agree. But you have to also see into one thing, that when a government passes a decision, it should be ideally that the opposing segment should come forward and try to initiate a talk with the government. And after that, if the things don't work out, then go to the protest stage. Here the other way around works. It is the protest first, and then the government comes forward to hold the discussion. But it should be also from the opposing forces. The people who hold the protest, they should also initiate talks or put in a request that they need to discuss. But yes, we also agree that the feedback team and policy making team should be more active.
It is easier said than done. When the protest groups, it is not easy for them to go and talk to somebody in authority.
But and also the protagonists who are there are generally the same people who protest on the same things again and again. You can see them protesting for agriculture, economy, for everything.
You are saying that you don't give a damn to the protesters.
No, it is not like that. Sometimes you should also agree,
the sense which is
they do
coming
not
out
represent
from
the mood of the people every time.
Is coming out from you, Janki, is that you don't give a damn to protesters.
It is not like that. It is not like
what
that.
Is
but
it
we
then?
should also see.
What is it then?
Are they always representing the mood of the people?
Why are you? Is protest not a democratic right?
Are the protagonists always?
Why are they protesting?
Are they always reflecting the mood of the? Are they reflecting the mood of the people?
Yes,
had they reflected the mood of the people, we wouldn't have seen this result in 2019.
I know where you are coming from. I know where you are coming from. You are trying to gaze everything from the electoral verdict, from the electoral NAP toll. That is what politicians are always interested.
It is reflected in the electoral verdict.
So you don't give a damn to people who don't have the voting capacity.
It is absolutely
Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharjee, some of the political leaders on the panel are saying that, you may be protesting, but they will still win the elections. So generally, the sense coming out is that you don't give too much of importance to protesters nowadays. I'm talking about the government. So do you think everything should be counted by the number of votes a particular political party gets? Is that what is correct in a democracy?
Yes, and the government is not respectful to the peaceful, non-violent movement. That is the most unfortunate part. And without agitation also, we are not getting anything. The recent example is the Numaligarh refinery. It's Assam Accord refinery. You had to agitate. We had to launch movement to protect Numaligarh refinery. So this is the last example. And now regarding anything, the government is not respectful to the non-violent movement. And for example, in last 5 years, we tried to meet.
So,
the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, respected Narendra Modi ji, could not find time to have a dialogue on Assam Accord.
Okay, we will fix the line with you, Dr. Samujjal Bhattacharjee. I'm coming back in a minute to you. I'm coming to you as well, Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee. Dr. Nanigopal Mohanto, this is exactly the point which you made very rightly. Everything is counted in the number of votes. Is it a good sign for a vibrant democracy like India? What do you think as a political scientist?
Well, Wasbir, if you see, that should not have happened actually. That should not be the discourse of democracy. Democracy is about dialogue, It's about involving 3 tracks of conflict resolution. Wasbir, you are also aware about the fact that when we talk about conflict resolution, is a track combination of 3 factors. One is track 1, track 2 and track 3. So without knowing the mindset of the civil society, or particularly look at Northeast India, it is such a heterogeneous society. We have more than 370 ethnic groups, 185 language groups. Now the point is that in such a heterogeneous society, the people would have a lot of aspirations, they would have a lot of imaginations, they would want their identities to be recognized. In such a critical situation, government needs to be more sensitive. But the fact we also must remember, Wasbir, is the fact that except perhaps the Mizo issue and except the TNV, most of the resolution of the nagging and intractable conflict of Northeast India is based on conflict fatigue. whether
Absolutely,
it is
absolutely.
ULFA,
Government
whether
waits
it is
for-
NDAP,
Exactly.
whether even it is NSTN.
Conflict fatigue
Yeah,
in the
they
Northeast is
basically rely on the old age.
yeah, absolutely. Very
That's
important
how they
point.
do not go for the conflict resolution, and that's how a new bunch of generation
You
people,
don't
they
go
take
for
up the issue.
you
So
don't
that
go
is
for
the issue
conflict
actually we need
resolution,
to focus
but
on.
you wait for conflict fatigue to set in so that the agitators get too tired. Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee, at this point in time when we are discussing, there is a agitation in the entire Northeast over the cab issue. There is an agitation in Manipur over apprehensions and basically fears that the Naga Accord might impact on them. My question to you, Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee, as a top student leader from the region, are you a happy man agitating, or are you agitating as a last resort? Didn't you have any other option? Why are you agitating?
No, I am not a happy man by agitating, by adopting method of agitation. So this is the last resort. We are submitting memorandum, trying to have dialogue, but the government is not respectful to the non-violent movement. I am asserting on that main point. I like to give more emphasis on that point, whether the government is respectful to the non-violent movement or not. Or government is provoking the students and what to go for violence. That's the situation now. But we are sticking to the non-violent movement. See, I can cite 2-3 examples. In last 5 years, I am repeating again, the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, respected Narendra Modi Sahab, could not find a day to discuss about the implementation of the Assam Accord. The former Prime Minister, all Prime Ministers had time to discuss about the implementation part of the implementation of Assam Accord. The present Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Sarbananda Sonowal Sahab, he could not find a day to discuss about the implementation of the Assam Accord at the Chief Minister level, at Assam. Only one discussion was held at the Honorable Home Minister level, that too at the Rajnath Singh's, when he was the Home Minister. At that time, before that, there was a meeting at Delhi at the Chief Minister's level. But in Assam, there is not a single talk at the Chief Minister's level regarding implementation of the Assam Accord. No talk at the Prime Minister level in last 5 years. That is the situation.
Okay.
So government is forcing us
All right.
to go to the path of the agitation.
Okay, Dr. Samujal
I like to tell you, let government declare, let government declare that there will be dialogue on the implementation of Assam Accord with a time-bound action plan. We won't go for agitation.
Okay, that is an assurance. If the government comes up with an invitation, with an assurance that there will be a time-bound implementation of Assam Accord, you as the ASU's chief advisor, you are promising that there will be no agitation. Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee.
Right. We are not agitating for the sake of agitation. We are for a solution. We are agitating for a permanent solution. So we want a clear-cut commitment on the part of the Government of India and Government of Assam to have a time-bound action plan to implement Assam Accord.
Okay, Janki, Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee has made some serious charge that the Prime Minister and the Chief Minister of Assam did not have time to discuss the Assam Accord. Are you going to suggest that they should find time and talk on the Assam Accord?
Yes, there should definitely be more discussions on this, and if they feel that it is going unheard, their issues are going unheard, there should definitely be more interaction from the government side also. I agree to that.
All right. Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee, how do you look at this? Because they're saying that government does not listen to democratic, non-violent agitation. That is the general contention which Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee is saying. Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee.
Yeah, to a great extent, so far as Assam Accord is concerned, actually it was signed in 85 and now it is 2019, and we have not arrived at a very, all the points are not implemented. That is a very sad thing actually. There are so many discussions with the government of India at tripartite level at several points of time. So we should, what Samujal has told about a time-bound action plan, I think that is the only solution for assuaging the feelings of the people of Assam.
Right. I'm quickly going to Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba, time-bound action plan. When whatever the issues in respective states, Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee is talking about Assam. He said that there should be a time-bound action plan for implementation of the Assam Accord. Take the case of Manipur. Do you think there should be time-bound action plans for resolving the aspirations of the people and removing the mistrust of the people? Do you think there should be more immediate, urgent attention? Because let me add, Khurajam, let me add, Manipur is full of, there are so much of bunds and street protests that the younger generation in Manipur are severely affected. Their education is affected, the development of the state is affected. You as an agitation leader, as a leader of a civil society, you know it better. Khurajam.
Yeah, well, Wasbir, it is not just the younger generation who has been seriously affected. Even myself, when I graduated from my college, my university, the academic year is only of 3 years, but we have taken more than 4.5 years to complete our graduation. That's how we have been suffering since our time, So the basic issue that we have, understanding the situation of all the issues in the northeastern region, the basic issue is that the mainland Indian, politics fails to understand the regional aspirations of Northeast.
Okay,
and therefore,
Khurajam, let me tell you, let me cut you here. Let me interrupt. Let me interrupt. It is very easy to blame the mainland politics. What about your elected representatives? They are not from the mainland. They are your own people. Your elected governments.
I am telling that. See, the elected government, they are being compelled. They are being, compelled. They have been put on stake that if they don't follow the dictates of the center, they will be pulled down from their powers. That's how they have been dictated. Therefore, the local leaders, even if they want to do something, they can't do it freely. They can't do it, with liberty. They have been always put under the grip. They have been put under the grip of the center.
Do you think, Khurajam, I'm running short of time. I'm running short of time. Very quickly, do you think your Chief Minister Biren Singh is also acting under duress?
Definitely. We know it. Yes.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
He is not a man of this kind. He has been, since the time he became the Chief Minister, now he is not being able to, perform the way he used to perform before becoming a Chief Minister.
Okay, hold your thoughts. Yeah. Hold your thoughts there. I'm running short of time. Last comments from Mr. Hawa Bagang. I'll come to every of my panelists to give their considered opinion. Hawa Bagang ji, आपको कैसा लगता है क्या होना चाहिए? डॉक्टर समुज्जल भट्टाचार्य जी का कहना है स्टूडेंट ग्रुप्स आंदोलन नहीं करना चाहता है, लेकिन कोई ऑप्शन नहीं होता है उनके पास. गवर्नमेंट सुनता नहीं है. आंदोलन नहीं करने से सरकार सुनता नहीं है. तो आपका क्या मानना है?
वो हम सब नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लीडर हैं, ताकि वो स्टूडेंट अकेला के लीडर नहीं है. इंटर अरुणाचल के जो इंसान का लीडर है, वो दिल्ली में जो बैठ के बहुत सा लीडर जाता है नॉर्थ ईस्ट के, कुछ काम के नहीं है, वह अपोज नहीं करता है.
वो बात नहीं है. मेरा प्रश्न का उत्तर दीजिए. तो मेरा प्रश्न ये नहीं है. मेरा प्रश्न है, समुज्जल भट्टाचार्य जी का कहना है कि आंदोलन अगर डेमोक्रेटिक एजिटेशन करेंगे, आंदोलन नहीं करने से सरकार कुछ सुनता नहीं है. आंदोलन करने का आंदोलन आप मजबूरी में करते हैं. You are forced to agitate and government does not listen.
फेक है, क्योंकि नहीं इसमें इससे है. देखिए, मैंने जो पोजीशन में रहता है उसके लिए शायद पब्लिक को अंडरमाइन है, और कोई भी एनजीओ या स्टूडेंट एक्टिविस्ट है उसको अंडरमाइन है, स्टूडेंट लीडर को अंडरमाइन है. जब तक नहीं चिल्लाएगा, इंडिया ऐसे कंट्री है.
ओके, सो जब तक नहीं चिल्लाएगा सुनता नहीं है. दैट इज द कंटेंशन. आई एम सॉरी, आई एम रनिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ टाइम. मिस्टर जाकुम गामलिंग, हाउ डू यू लुक एट द सेम क्वेश्चन टू यू? मैं माफी चाहता हूं, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. जारपुम गामलिंग, योर थॉट्स, द सेम क्वेश्चन टू यू. जारपुम,
इंडिया में अगर जीना है तो आपका डेमोक्रेटिक मूवमेंट अपना राइट को मांगना पड़ता है. अगर आपको कुछ करना है तो अपना एजेंडा को, अपना मोटिव को गवर्नमेंट को बताना पड़ता है.
Okay, I'm running short of time. Let me go to Jarpom. Jarpom, your concluding remarks. Jarpom Gamling, your concluding remarks. Jarpom, very quickly.
I think to a large extent, the solution to such problem also lies with the bureaucracy. तो अभी जैसे कि अरुणाचल प्रदेश में एक डिमांड रखा है एक सेपरेट IS cadre का. So that's another solution because let me tell you, most of the bureaucrats, the top bureaucrats who come to advise the government, who are posted here, more or less they take things very casually and they take things for granted. So I think this, taking things for granted, nothing is given in life. I mean, you can't take things for granted. And
Absolutely.
That neither the government nor the bureaucracy should indulge in.
Absolutely. Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta.
Well, Wasbir, I believe that government needs to be very sensitive to the needs of the civil society and the agitationist group. But at the same time, the agitationists and those people who are engaged in agitation, they also must remember the fact that, what issue we had 25, 30 years back, it may not hold true today in the changing scenario. So what we need is a win-win situation rather than an intractable position that we put forward and we want it to be resolved by the government.
Absolutely, very well said there, Dr. Nanigopal Mahanta. Dr. Samujal Bhattacharjee, your parting comments on the issue.
The government should show their respect to the non-violent movement. And we are not agitating for the agitation's sake, we are agitating for a solution. So government should show their respect to the non-violent movement and they should declare their commitment regarding solution of all issues, including the implementation of Assam Accord within a specific time frame.
Okay. Mr. Theza Terry, how do you like to conclude? Mr. Theza Terry.
Yeah, under the federal structure, the central government must talk to the state government directly and should take the state government into confidence and talk to the stakeholder. The state government and civil bodies should have consultation at every level. I don't agree with the political parties communicating to the stakeholders through political platform. It should not be politicized. It should be from the government of India in authority to speak to the people in the state who are in authority.
Absolutely.
So that the right message will go to the stakeholder.
Absolutely.
And there will not be a communication gap.
Right. Khuraizam, very quickly, 10 seconds. I'm running short of time. I'm going to end the debate. Khuraizam, very quickly. Last comments. Okay, I think Khuraizam, we have snapped a line. Janaki Goswami, what are your parting shots?
I agree to it that we need to strengthen our feedback and visualization teams, but at the same time it is an appeal to the, because our government is a friendly government, sabka saath, they believe in sabka saath, sabka vikas, so they should also come forward to hold discussions and they should take, it is an appeal to the agitating groups that they should take agitation as only the last resort, because it is deterring our development.
Absolutely. Agitation should be only the last resort. Mr. Pallab Bhattacharjee, last word to you.
With so much of diversity in Assam and in the northeast, I personally feel that there should be more civil society interactions among the different groups so that they can come up with certain solutions actually to this. And in addition to that, I think the early warning system which you have referred to, that should also be taken in right spirit by the district administration to diffuse the situation. These are the two things I personally feel that we should do at the earliest.
Absolutely.
And the sincerity from the party in power is also
absolutely. Khuraizam Athoba, your last comments. Khuraizam Athoba, 10 seconds to you. I have to conclude.
I think in order to make the Northeast region to proceed peacefully, all policies and programs needs to be initiated from the region only. It should not be come from New Delhi. Therefore, we need to restructure. We need to restructure.
Right.
No federal.
Khuraizam Athoba, thank you very much. I'm absolutely running. It's only for the shortest of time. I'm going to wrap up this debate. Thanks very much. And agitation, not for the sake of agitation, but agitation also should only be the last resort. That is our appeal from Northeast Live. Please don't hesitate. Northeast needs development. Agitation is a democratic right, we know, but it should only be the last resort. Government also needs to be sensitive. On this note, I end this edition of Northeast Tonight. Good night and goodbye. I also thank all my panelists for participating in this session. Good night.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.